VC, how's it going? Yeah, I guess I'm going to do a vinyl tag, but I'm calling this the best of the vinyl tag. Or at least I should say the selected vinyl tag. Not really the best, but I picked out of the 3 different tags that there's been many tags going around. I picked out sort of the questions that meant the most to me or that I was most interested in answering. And I've sort of compiled these together to do the best of these tags. So I picked out questions from these 3. But yeah, it's been a little frustrating with the vinyl tags. As someone who does like to do them, I like to participate in them. I enjoy it. And I like it just as a good reason to show things that I never usually get to show. So that's always my sort of like first filter is what stuff do I not usually show. Not to say I've not shown, not to show that there's some here that I have shown, but that tends to be my metric from where I start. And so some of these questions from some of these tags really allowed me to do that. So I wrote these questions, or I picked these questions like a week or so ago, and I think this is where I'm going to end with vinyl tags for the foreseeable future. Because I do like to do them. I've always liked doing them since Andrew Tales from the Crate did them. So let's start. So the first batch of questions is from the 2025 vinyl tag done by Pretty Green Vinyl Guy, Edwin. Some of the questions wasn't as interesting to me. So here we go. Let's start with it. 50 Years Later, the best album from 1975. We'll go with Don Cherry Brown Rice, a classic, obviously. This is the original Italian pressing. Got it many years ago now. Maybe 3 or 4 years ago. Previously I had the Horizon A&M one for a while. If you don't know this, you should. A classic in the fusion sort of Don Cherry oeuvre, basically, using African instrumentation to create just a beautiful worldly sound. Charlie Hayden, Frank Lowe's on this. No brainer. Of course, I should show the art real quick. The Moki Cherry. That's really the reason why you want this, is to get the Moki Cherry design. His wife. And artist in her own right. So there it is. I've always, obviously, I love this artwork, and I always think of the cup of brown rice he's holding as like a little token, a little god or something. All right, that was my pick. I do have other records from 1975. That was my pick. Number 2, for me, an album that defines a genre. And this one I did pick 2 different records, just because I felt like it. As I stroll up the sleeve. We're listening to one of them. Aquarius Dub by Herman Chinloy. Apparently the first dub reggae record. There's a few that claim this. But this was originally released in 71. This is one of the many reissues. This is one of those that you'll never really... Very hard to figure out exactly what the first version is. I mean, it's tracked, but... the covers vary slightly. The labels vary slightly. I actually don't even remember which is the first label it was on, but I didn't research that yet. But this is one I've had for a bunch of years. A friend of mine brought this back from London for me. It goes in and out of print. I don't even know if it's in print now. But dub started with producers like Herman Chinloy, Coxon Dodd. Taking the instrumental versions that they would make on the flip of the singles, and they'd start playing with it, start adding echo, reverb, and tripping it out. And then they were kind of becoming their own sort of songsmiths with it. So this is Herman Chinloy, perhaps the defining dub album. And I'm also showing, I don't know, now some people may have shown these. I haven't watched that many vinyl tags, but John Hassel, of course. His first album on Lovely Music, Vernal Equinox, Fourth World Music, which is in its own right kind of a ethnographic sort of ambient sound, you might say. John Hassel being a trumpet player. And this is his first album, which is not my favorite, but I figured I'd show this. I don't know if I've ever shown it. Nada Vasconcelos is on this. William Wynant, David Rosenboom. Yeah, there's actually some really interesting players on this. It's very good. I don't know what my favorite John Hassel is, but I don't know if I'd say this one, but in terms of the fourth world sub-genre, definitely a niche genre, John Hassel. Best sounding drums on an album. I've talked about this one, and Stunty has certainly talked about this one, illuminating me to it. Apocalypse by Daniel Humer and Jean-Charles Rapin. And Humer, the drummer, is insane on this. This is basically a library record, but it doesn't quite feel like one. It's from 1980. As you can see, biorhythm fiction scenes. I mean, it is a library record, I suppose, on the Magica Bus label. Just absolutely captivating drummer. It's not just bombastic or not just sort of free jazz-esque. It's just he's creating a world with his kit here. Just incredible to listen to, and really just what he does is so versatile. It's explosive, it's dynamic, it's all of it. Daniel Humer from this record. Apocalypse, 1980. And okay, next. Favorite artist who's a member of two or more bands. I like this question. It's hard to think of, actually. It's easy to sort of, if you think about jazz, obviously I think that's super easy to do. But when it comes to sort of the rock world, and then you talk about bands that are sort of maybe going concurrently at the same time, I really feel like that's the qualifier. In this band here, in this band here at the same time. I went with Ari Up. 2 records with the Slits and New Age Steppers. New Age Steppers were an On You Sound project. Certainly more straight dub than post-punk. This is on the Static label. I remember getting this out in Denver, actually. Many years ago now. I forget what store it was, even. This is 1981. It's on You Sound production, but it's on the Static label. Here's Ari Up, a.k.a. Ariana. Ariana, forget her actual full name, but she goes by Ari Up here. She's doing lead vocals, piano, organ, bass guitar. And of course, she is the sort of founder and driving member of the Slits. This is my original UK violin pressing. But there's that inner sleeve, but of course on this cover. This cover's been talked to death, and this is an absolute favorite record in my collection. Dub, yeah, it's got a dub feel to it as well. But what they're doing is clearly in the post-punk sort of like realm. And don't forget about Return of the Giants. That's their second album on CBS, basically. UK. This one goes into a very different territory, a little more like those later Raincoats records. They're not doing straight dub or post-punk. It's this other thing, sort of stripped down post-punk in a way, sort of a little more moody and wiry. I don't know, not like the band so much, but Return of the Giant Slits, I think this is from 82. So Ari Up, she passed away, in the early to mid 2000s. Incredible artist. Love Ari Up. So show a favorite label. I took this to mean 2 things. A favorite record label, you just love what they did, and then actual label design. So I'm going to show both. I've talked about this label 99. Dave brought him up a little bit ago from the Glenn Bronco record. This is the first record I got on the label, and a great collection of interesting 80s post-punk and punk came into the Angry Mom. This is Vivian Goldman, who didn't have a huge career. She ended up working with the Flying Lizards. And this is her only proper release. It's Private Armies, a laundrette with Private Armies and a dub. And here she is working with like a who's who of different UK post-punk sort of icons, essentially. We have Keith Levine on guitar, Vicky Aspinall violin, Robert Wyatt's on this, Steve Beresford, and produced with Adrian Sherwood and John Lydon and Keith Levine. So this is a fantastic record. It's the one that got me into this label, the 9-9 label, out of the New York's East Side, right? Yeah, McDougal Street. That's the West Side, actually, but here's the original 9-9 catalog that it came with. And there's the iconic, for me, 99 label. I did a 2-part series on this, one of my earlier sort of videos. But yeah, Goldman became like a journalist and a writer and a critic, but she was very much around for the UK punk scene. And I love, if you don't know this record, check it out. I don't think this has ever been reissued, actually. Don't know what it goes for these days. I remember paying about $35 for it and being like, damn, it's a lot for a single. So, yeah, so that's a favorite label. And a favorite label design. We'll talk about this record with Crazy Jimmy briefly. Laid Back by Corky Carroll and his friends. It's sort of a mellow surf record. It's a private press on this label. I don't think there's anything else on this label. Rule Records. Look at that beautiful label design. I feel like I maybe even have shown this for this exact reason, but this is a really beautiful album. Really sort of good mellow acoustic, a little bit like in the Fahey mold. Sort of laid back acoustic surf music. Show a run of 3 great singles. Let's go with the Kinks. I have these great Kinks picture sleeves. I believe these are, I forget which country. I haven't looked at these in a while. I think it was German or French, but they are on the Pie label. This is the earliest one, the Kinks Dandy. Now these don't all go quite in a row. There's Dandy with Party Line. Autumn Almanac, probably one of my favorite Kinks songs, without question, with David Watts. That's from '67. David Watts is on something else. And Wonder Boy and Pretty Polly. Pretty Polly is another favorite. B-side. So there are 3 runs from the Kinks, who at the height of their powers at that time. An RSD purchase that you actually consistently listen to. This is an easy question, and probably the only one I consistently listen to. Another group I talked about in the Artist Focus, John Howell and Peter Howell, John Ferdinando. This is the Ithaca Agincourt compilation that compiles almost all of the music they made in the early 70s, home recorded UK sort of studio wizards, we'll say. And this is a double album on the Munster label. And I was aware of this band, Ithaca and Agincourt. They're 2 different studio projects, but didn't quite know, or didn't quite have the records. Now I have all the reissues. They're very rare. These are like 99 copy UK originals, but this compilation gives you a smattering and sort of their best tracks, and it's absolutely beautiful. I'll link below to the Artist Focus I did on these artists to tell you more about them. But this was from 2019 Record Store Day. This is amazing. All right, moving right along. Those are all the questions from the Pretty Green Vinyl Guy 2025 vinyl tag, the basic version. Now I'm going to pick 3 questions from the Garage tag done by Blockhead George. I never show garage records. Don't have a massive collection. I have a bigger site collection, but of course those 2 kind of go hand in hand, so there is overlap, and I do have a bunch. So I just picked 3 questions from these. There's only like 5. Show an album from 1965. I don't think I've ever shown this Barbarians album on the Lowry label. A garage record through and through. A little scrappy. This band is known for the song Bolty, which I didn't realize is not on this. It was on the very first Nuggets. Just double checking. They were basically doing covers on this. House of the Rising Sun, Mr. Tambourine Man, Bo Diddley. They had some originals, Are You a Boy or Are You a Girl? But Molty, which is one of the band members, which is a very awkward, if you've never heard that song, it's very endearing and very sort of like, a little goofy, a little silly, but there's something charming about it. So if you don't know that song, it's on the Nugget. It's on the very original Nuggets collection on Electro, of course. But I didn't realize it's not on this. Anyway, this is a fun garage record, though, by the Barbarians. Garage rock comp, to me, the idea, or the grade A sort of garage series is Back from the Grave. And I believe I have all of them. I'm starting to get rid of compilations now, but I'm not getting rid of the Back from the Graves. Here's volume 1, volume 10. There may be something after 10, but I have 1 through 10. Some of them are singles, some of them are doubles, but they're all rare 45s, of course, compiled on this series. On the Crypt label going back to, the mid-90s, I think. These are repressings. I mean, I'm not really after original comps like this, so these at some point were repressed and I got them. John Spencer Blues Explosion used this as part of their cover. They re-approximated this from one of their covers. Volume 10, so to me those are like, I won't even tell you which tracks. I mean, these are all just worth having, or if you see one, grab one. You can't go wrong with any of them. And yeah, there's liner notes about each one, and the art's a little dumb, but it's a garage record. It's sort of silly fun. Garage Rock 45, of course. This is the one I think of when I thought it right away. Absolute favorite, a cheap one. The Castaways, Liar Liar. A song I used to listen to on a loop. I absolutely love this song. It's got a very teenage feel to it. A very, the guitar line that's just really stands out. Very signature guitar line. Very sort of high-pitched. But it's got a great feel, great shuffle. It's on the Soma label. The Castaways. Garage Rock 45. Okay, we're going to move into the final tag of my picks. And I went with the Jason Rojas and Nathaniel Mars edition. The Total Drag vinyl tag. Oh, that's annoying. I was just noticing the garbage and recycling came today. It's MLK Day as I record this. Didn't think they were picking up. Oh well, I'll have to eat all that. But anyway, Nathaniel and Jason did a live tag on their stream that they do, every Monday or something. I check out some of those as I can. And they came up with a Total Drag vinyl tag, which is all, really, it's a little bit different than the Sad Bastard tag. This is like Total Bummer vinyl tag. It's like really depraved and sort of sad questions. Why not? I like these questions. So I picked out, I have 6 questions out of these. So here we go. Stiff Competition show a record with an artist-musician who died in 2024. Well, we'll go with Albert Heath, who was on this record here. This is an absolute top favorite jazz record. This is the early repress on Trip. Would love to get the original private press. But Albert Tootie Heath is on here. I hear, let's see, yeah. He's listed first here, but Albert Tootie Heath. With Buster Williams, Don Cherry, Mtume, Herbie Hancock, Jimmy Heath, Ed Blackwell, Billy Bonner. This is a classic spiritual jazz record. If you don't know this one, definitely check this out. Don't know if there's a modern reissue of this. I forgot to look about that. I meant to. But Albert Tootie Heath, the drummer, who did work, he did sessions all over the place, Strata East. He passed away in 2024. Wrong week to quit sniffing glue. Show an album by an artist who got hooked on the drugs and lost everything. Sean, the Vinyl Dreamscape, brought up this artist because of his... because this artist is quite fascinating. There's a whole book written about this guy, which I did read. A documentary deserves to be done, but Craig Smith, Maitreya Kali, he made this double albums, Apache and Inca, which were released independently and then released as a double back then privately, which are thousands of dollars now, any of those editions. So this is a repress that was done. I think Shaddox did a version that was expensive for a long while, and this is just done by his estate. Whoever was behind this was done this officially by Maitreya Apache Music. And this is a depraved and sort of LSD trip influenced psychedelic folk, basically. And he sort of had a bit of a time where he was working with Michael Nesmith. So some of that stuff is in here with the band slipping my mind all of a sudden. They should have had a record out on Sundays, and putting it out But that's a more psychedelic pop record, and so some of those songs end up being used here. But this has all these different like clips of field recordings of him like interviewing people on the street. He basically was a straight laced singer-songwriter. Craig Smith. He wrote songs for Glenn Campbell, the Monkees. He had hits with them, and he was like a rising producer, rising songwriter. And he took LSD, and apparently schizophrenia ensued. He got beat up. He went on an international trip as like hippies did back in the day, and he got totally beat up and potentially abused. And he came back and just took on this different persona of like a spiritual, godly kind of like prophet. And that's him there with face paint and stuff on, basically. He made these 2 albums and sold them privately. No one really bought them. But yeah, the LSD took all of that fame away. He ended up dying homeless on the street. So pretty sad story. Yeah, Sean talked about him a little more in detail, but this deserves like a full deep dive. Craig Smith, Maitreya Kali. This is a double album from like 2018-2019 reissue. Fidelity would ever show the worst sounding record in your collection. Nathaniel's record he played was truly audiophile trash. What was it, Fudge Tunnel? Or I think it was Fudge Tunnel. It sounded so bad, like just from a pressing standpoint. I went with more of a like lo-fi sort of like, trash. And I picked this Luxurious Bags released on the Twisted Village label, which was a store in Cambridge, Massachusetts. This is really harsh and lo-fi and sort of noise rock. From Heaven to My Head. Yeah, there's a version of I Want to Be Your Dog, I Want to Be Your God on here. This is pretty depraved in itself. Very sort of tough to listen to. Pretty harsh. And there's a few different luxury. I have one other Luxurious Bags record. The main guy in it did some other things. I'm sort of slipping on what he did off the top of my head. But an interesting one. I think this is from the mid-90s. Circle So Black. Show the record will dredge up your rawest, most painful memories. This one, I went with something that doesn't sound like that. It's King Sunny Ade, Synchro System, a very important record to me. One that was giving me plenty of good feelings and turning around the feelings when I was going through a separation, like many years ago before I was married with my wife. Actually, at the time, we had a brief moment more than a brief moment, where we were apart, and it was a bunch of upheaval and moving, and it was a difficult time. And this record was sort of like my stabilizer. This is I got this I think a couple of years ago. I've shown this. A beautiful juju, high life African record from King Sunny Ade, Synchro System. Absolutely beautiful. Bringing in sort of a bit of psychedelia too. It's pretty, with the way the percussion rolls and bubbles. It's pretty sort of mind expanding. So that's what I needed at the time. This is I think it's from I don't have the year in front of me. Mid-70s though. Choose Your Own Tragedy. Make Your Own Total. Oh no, Turn Out the Lights because the party's over. Show a record with an artist musician who committed suicide. Adrian Borland of The Sound. He was also on The Outsiders, punk and post-punk player. This is on the Corolla label. If you don't know Adrian Borland, you might know this record. There's a bunch of different records by The Sound. This is a nice one. This is one I've recently listened to just to see how I still felt about it. It's great. It's a little bit Cure-esque, a little more post-punk, but definitely punk more so inspired. Jeopardy. It's actually the only record I have by The Sound, but it's very good. I think this was my own cover. This was Choose Your Own Tragedy, Make Your Own Total Bum Out category, and Show It. So I have 2 for this. Mine was just the most bummed out cover, and that you can't get more bummed out than Bob Desper, aka like Desperate, New Sounds. This is a reissue. It's a very rare folk album, but look at him. Just take a look at this man. This was a broken man. This is the reissue on Discourage. I've kept this because this is not one I would pony up for an original. This one feels good to me. It's like a really nicely done tip-on sleeve. It comes with a bonus 7-inch, and it's a really great downer folk album. It's down. This thing is down. So this really fit, and it's a total drag. So we'll go with this is my cover. Total bum out, total drag cover, and music too. And also I wanted to pick a different category. Favorite posthumous release. Morphine's The Night. Came and recorded. These are the best kind of, these are the ones I think are most, you know, like the best to show in terms of posthumous ones that are, you know, the artist, the band made the record, then there's someone dies, like it's done and they die, which is unfortunate what happened to Mark Sandman. And that's this one, The Night from 1999. Excellent. This is that first time on vinyl reissue a couple years back now. Modern Classics, Light in the Attic. This came out after he died, and it's there's a lot of heaviness to this record, but it's beautiful. It's one of their best in the catalog. I made a few other categories, and we're just going to do them. We're going to show them. Two more. Favorite seasonal cover. I like covers. We're in the year of snow, the season of snow. So I picked the New Year's Snow, their last album, waiting for a new one from them. This is, of course, on Touch and Go. Actually, this was not on Touch and Go. The first one, all their other records are on Touch and Go. But this is members from Bedhead, of course, the Cadane brothers, from 2017. Beautiful post-rock, slowcore snow. And obviously this Pram. I'm picking winter here. This is from, what's the name of this thing again? I always forgot the name of this record. This is a radio station, North Pole radio station. Really a mini album, I think. This band's amazing. I love Pram. And the last question, your first online purchase from eBay or Discogs, and this ties into the video I'm going to put out soon, which I'll get into, sort of about Discogs and early purchases. But as far as I can remember, the first eBay purchase was probably in the year 1999 when I was just buying records for the first time after I got a bunch of that I inherited. And eBay was brand new. It started in 95, 96. And I was new to eBay and I was new to records, but I bought a few that I know. I don't know how many I still have. I know this one's from eBay because I know because of what I got it for. And this is my first eBay purchase, as far as I can tell. I don't remember exactly what I paid for it because you can't really research that stuff with eBay unless you have your own records. But the first Descendants album on New Alliance, Milo Goes to College. It's the only Descendants label record I have. And I've always loved this album. When I was in college, it was a big one. And I got this probably for $20-something. I wouldn't have been able to pay more for it for sure. Like, there's no way I paid up for this record in 1999. It's got the insert too. And yeah, it was probably $20 to $25 because there's just no chance I would have been paying much for a record then. I didn't have the money. But I love to bring this one out and play every now and then because it's just timeless to me. So that's my first eBay purchase. If anyone wants to answer this in some respect. And the first Discogs purchase, which is again what I'm going to be talking about in the next video, because you can go back into your archived orders. And I just found an upgrade to this in Syracuse. It's this country funk album. A bit of a rural rock, country rock rocker, for lack of a better word, on Polydor from 1970. I bought this for $9 in 2000. I don't have the year in front of me, but 2012, I think, or 11. And it's about worth the same now. So this one is hasn't gone up or down in value really, but everyone who hears this always likes it. So I bought this when Discogs was pretty new to me anyway. Country funk. And that's the best of the vinyl tag for me. Seeking a Thread. Yeah, that's how I wanted to approach the vinyl tag this year. That's where I'm going to leave it, I think. So hope you dug that. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little potpourri, a little splash of this, a little splash of that, and we move on. Yeah, look forward to that Discogs video I got coming up. All right, till then, I'll speak with you in the comments.